Gentlemen, we're here.
We
Hello.
we are back.
I want to yell hockey, but I feel like I should yell football because the NFL's back. Shut up, Mike and the Cowboys, by the way. That's a rough way to start the year. I'm really sorry about that, dude.
You're not
Even
sorry.
baseball's
Don't
taking a
lie.
back seat.
Don't lie. You're not sorry.
You know.
Not after our Donda Dubs experiences. You're not
Yeah, that's.
sorry.
I feel bad for Dak Prescott. I feel bad for Dak, but
Him
What a
only.
name.
it is an interesting name, Dak. But I don't know if it's short for anything. But we're here to talk about hockey because we're a hockey podcast. So let's talk about that hockey. I'm not going to say do that hockey because that meme's kind of dead. I just bit my tongue by accident. That kind of hurt. Okay. Gentlemen, personally, nothing signals the start of the season better than the annual Habs golf tournament. It's always a big event. I remember a couple of years ago when Pacioretty came back it was the summer. It was like there was the trade request, and it was that really awkward picture of him and Mark Bergevin. It was like, oh gosh, and then he got traded for the man who is now news of the day. The Habs have named Nick Suzuki the 31st captain in franchise history. At 23, fun fact, Nick Suzuki is the youngest captain in Montreal Canadiens history, which is really weird to think. And this is per B/R Open Ice on Twitter. Nick Suzuki will be the second captain of Asian heritage in the
Mm,
NHL after Paul Kariya when he was the Ducks captain, fun fact.
we
Which
all love
Daniel?
that.
Yeah, I know because obviously big Ducks guy, big Paul Kariya guy for some of those reasons. So apparently back at the draft, Marty St. Louis had went to Nick Suzuki to ask, are you ready for this? He took the summer to decide. We know he was in Montreal all year. Brendan Gallagher and Joel Edmondson will be the alternates. Interesting that it looks like Paul Byron has lost his A. Thought that was kind of noteworthy. Brendan Gallagher actually called Nick Suzuki the heartbeat of the team, which is something I think you could describe Brendan Gallagher as a couple of years ago. So a full circle moment there. We all kind of knew he was going to be the captain. It's still exciting times nonetheless, especially because there are certain markets where it's different to be the captain. And as we know, Montreal is one of them.
Yeah, I think as you said, like this was coming. It was just a matter of was it now or was it later? I think was the question. Obviously we've had many discussions about this, and I think with Montreal in particular. And I know Joel Edmondson was brought up. Brendan Gallagher was brought up as well, but it was just Nick Suzuki. Like Nick Suzuki always felt like the right answer, especially if you're looking to the future of this team. I don't think there's, and with all due, like obviously with all due respect to everyone else on that team, I don't think there was anyone else you could look at and say he's the captain.
To be fair, how many of the guys on the roster are going to be here in 3 years? What do you
Right.
think?
Yeah.
Daniel, how do you like about it? Young Nick.
I know. Like you guys both mentioned, it was kind of something we saw coming, something that was going to be expected. But and I'm just going to be a fan here, but I didn't think I'd be this excited to see Nick Suzuki be the captain at 23, as someone that everyone is tweeting out with second Asian captain since Paul Kariya. I think that's something that we've mentioned as a plus, despite what's going on with how we look at hockey culture right now. I think it's just a big thing for Asian fans, Asian Canadian fans, to see that again. Long time coming. Hasn't been like this since 2003, after Paul Kariya left for Colorado, and it's like when I look at it at a managerial perspective or just an organizational one, it's it's just like this consistency of Montreal just keeps getting W's in a way that they're making the right moves, in my opinion. They're doing what they need to do, and they're just steering clear of what past decisions have looked like, of not really knowing what they're going to do. I think Patrick Talon mentioned it where he said every single move, even if it was a big one, just felt like a lateral move. But I think now this is something that you do work for the future. You do work towards consistency, towards what you want to build for this team.
Yeah, the thing with the golf tournament is everything gets dissected to it. Like there were articles written, especially by Eric Engels, 5 storylines to keep an eye on. You know what? I mentioned that Pacioretty Bergevin thing is because the publicity mean something in Montreal. Like today, something that was made very noteworthy was Kent Hughes, Marty St. Louis, and Jeff Gorton showed up together in the same car. You know what I mean? They come out, Martin St. Louis like, hey guys, by the way, new captain, come on out, lad. Come yeah, it was sort of, there was a point to it. Everything was done on purpose. It sort of just shows sort of the unity, which is something they desperately sort of need in the organization. You talk about sort of doing things properly. Remember how there was always that sort of thing of, was it a player vote to make Pacioretty captain, and was it a good decision? Apparently, they made it clear that the management made the decision to make Suzuki captain and Edmondson and Gallagher get the A's. It just always felt very, sometimes like the team felt lost. And listen, this doesn't mean anything if, development on the ice stuff doesn't really matter. But again, it's just sort of the way you look at the golf tournament. It's just sort of, it's different. It's very difficult to explain if, you're not familiar with the Montreal market. But also going back to what Daniel said, you know what? The Asian market is one, the NHL. Like, forget about how we try and get them to expand to Europe and that. Like, the Asian market is one that they have almost ignored sometimes, it feels like. They had, I think they had one overseas game where they had that weird thing with the mascot explaining rules. But then it's just sort of, non-existent. So having a franchise that's one of your bigger, heavy hitters, having that sort of representation at the top of the lineup, can only be good for the game when you think about it. So listen, I'm not saying they did it for that reason, obviously. I think, again, you ask anyone in that locker room, it sounds like Nick Suzuki is the right guy to do it. But listen, we always be like, so they're going to Switzerland. Nico Hischier's going there. If you wanted to do a game like that, for the love of God, you send the Habs and Nick Suzuki can do some stuff there. Even, obviously he grew up in Toronto and all that, but damn, that is something you can use. That is something that is good for the game.
Yeah, it's a matter of if the NHL and co properly use it. Is the question, right? Like, it's cool. It's great to have. And I fully agree. It's okay. And in terms of promoting the game, like you're talking about, now it's like the NHL and Montreal, I guess, in particular. And I think Montreal have done a fine job in terms of, reaching out to those communities, I think is the next step.
Mm-hmm. I really like what you said there, Adam, where I don't know, it's just the way having someone like Nick at the top of the lineup, being the captain, being that face there right now, because this is something that's shown me too, that the way the NHL has been, I think we talk about this, but we also talk about what happened also during the season and in the off season about Jason Robertson and just that caliber of Asian player that we see in the NHL right now. And it's not just one of them, but I think the caliber shows with Nick as well. Is just, the capacity he has to be both one of the best players on the team and also be the captain at such a young age.
Mm-hmm. Especially with the sort of pressure that comes with it in Montreal, it speaks highly of what the players and what management think of him. And now ultimately it comes down to the team to help protect him. Obviously, because being that young and in this, that hockey market, I know he said he spoke to Shea Weber, but they're going to need more of that. It was really funny. People were like, Vegas had been around for 5 years, and they've had at one point 3 different Montreal Canadiens captains. Which I was like, that's very true. That's very, very true. Also, you know what? I don't think people were massive fans of Pacioretty being captain. There was a certain portion of the fan base that never quite warmed to Shea Weber. So, and again, that next generation, the young guys, Nick Suzuki is sort of the guy that you can see being around for the long haul. Hopefully a lifetime Hab, and hopefully he has a seat for a long time. So
you really just surprised me with that. I didn't know there was a section of fans that didn't warm up to Shea Weber, because I think it just, in my own perspective, from the Toronto perspective, I think I assumed Canadian guy, works hard on, both ends of the ice, stoic, but he's still able to speak to the locker room. So that's stoic. What I always thought.
That's a way to describe Shea Weber. Stoic. I like that.
Well, Gallagher said it today, right? It was a thing of I don't think there's a single player who's ever played with Shea Weber that hasn't said that he is a top quality leader. Like that was something as good. Shea Weber is arguably a Hall of Fame defenseman, but it's always been said that one of the things that stands out about him, was his leadership. And again, like listen, you go back to like his Nashville days, the mid 2010s, like Shea Weber was like unreal, right? But yeah, it's just the thing of, and listen, I think if you talk about like a lot of stuff like sports and TSN, they'll say nothing but great things about Shea Weber. It's just the French thing is always there. And one of the first questions that Nick Suzuki was asked was, and he did the introduction in French. He did the right thing. Like Pacioretty did the same thing too. And he's like, yeah, I was doing some French lessons. I'll keep doing them and all that. And I think there was always that portion of the fan base that still kind of hangs on to PK. Again, it's just, ooh, goodness gracious, our fire alarm's going off. I think they're burning dinner downstairs. Can you hear that?
A little bit, not really.
Just it's very slight.
Okay, I'm gonna quickly try and do a transition, and I can mute myself for a bit. So jersey ads have been coming more and more apparent around the league, and it blew up today because Montreal announced theirs. It's RBC. There is actually there's a really interesting article talking about it. There's actually some charitable stuff that goes to do with it. But people are not very happy. The alarm stopped, so I can slow down a bit. That the Sacred Crest, the jersey, especially Montreal's, has been sort of kissed by this very ugly and very obvious looking sponsorship. We had it with helmets. Now we have it with jerseys.
I'd like to get Alex's take on this first as the primary soccer fan here.
Okay. Okay. Here's the way I look at it. Mm-hmm. And I'm just, listen, this is just the way I think about it. With all due respect to hockey, there's many more popular sports out there that do this. And like the idea, so like this is the issue I have with when we have this discussion is like, everyone's like, well, if we put one on, that means we're going to end up like what happens in Europe in 10 years. That's not how this works. People do understand why Europe has jerseys like that, right? That's because they don't make as much money as we do in North America when it comes to hockey, right? If you look at soccer jerseys, you have the one here on the front, one of the most recognizable logos in the world. Let's go with Barcelona and Real Madrid, have a logo right here, an ad right here, and maybe one here and one on the side. And that's it. 3 at max I've maybe seen. I understand it, but the hockey jersey is no more sacred than football, basketball, soccer. Like, list the jerseys, like, with all due respect. Like, I understand the upset, why people are upset, but the idea that it's going to turn into Europe in 10 years or in 5 years is that's not going to happen because they're not in that situation. Like,
backing up. So
yeah,
because obviously a brand new jersey, like retro reverses, were at like $300 here.
Yeah.
What is the typical price for a soccer jersey? Or soccer, or whatever you would kind of say, a shirt or whatever. Because what were you saying? Obviously, we know the soccer leagues themselves make more money. The NHL's nothing.
But I'm saying the European. I'm talking about the European hockey leagues. The reason their jerseys look like the way they do.
Okay.
I'd imagine one of the reasons they look like that is because they don't make nearly as much money as the NHL does. So they need to. Their main revenue comes from tickets. Like, how when the pandemic happened, we had the discussion about how was the NHL going to recoup their ticketing money, because that's where most of their money comes from. Imagine that at a bigger scale.
Okay, I thought you meant okay.
Mhm.
Okay,
So you're
sorry.
saying
'Cause I
that
was gonna
Kachina
be
saved the NHL during the COVID
the
lockdowns?
retro reverse juicy purple one did, Daniel. Okay,
Like
Okay.
I
the
thought you were talking about like the price of like a soccer jersey, but so
no no
you meant the overseas hockey teams.
yeah,
Okay,
they have
that's
all,
my
you know
bad.
how
Yeah,
they have all the ads on them, right?
yeah,
You
it's
know what
awful. Yeah,
it's
Oh
all
yeah,
no no
during the
it's
Spangler Cup,
awful.
we all see it. Yeah.
It's horrible. I 100% agree. Also,
yeah,
one thing that soccer teams do, or like that I hope the NHL also does, is so yes, there's the main ad here that goes across here. That's their main jersey logo, but there's patches that come on the side, and you don't have to get the jersey
yeah.
with the ad that's on the side.
Hmm.
You do, like, so that's something the NHL could absolutely explore. Now, are they going to do that? I don't know. But again, okay, do you guys have a massive, like, is it such a deterrent when it's on the ice?
You know what I in my opinion, I know it's your team, Adam. I'm just gonna say,
It's
but
gonna happen with
But it's
everyone.
gonna
Don't worry.
Yeah.
the only team that's not doing it is the Oilers, it sounds like.
Yeah.
Really?
For
The
me,
yeah.
it's
Okay.
I have another thing with the Oilers too, but the one thing I have is just I think I'm just not used to it, and I think I just kind of compared it to the Raptors jerseys because the Raptors have Sun Life Financial,
Mhm.
but it's like blended in with the red. But with
Mm.
Montreal, like you just see that blue, like of the background part of
Sure.
RBC. I think for me, it's just so obvious that it's there that I thought they would kind of blended it in a way because like with the helmets, I know it's different with the helmets, but you know it's there, but it's not that obvious. With the jersey one, it's there
The
and it's like stitched
yellow
in.
in
Yeah,
RBC really hits too. At least like
Yeah,
yeah.
there's blue on the Habs logo, but it's like that yellow really.
that
I
pops
saw
out.
people made like a thing of like a white sort of outline on it that made it look less obvious. Um, you know, it's obviously you're gonna notice it more than you see the helmet ads. Like you're gonna
100%.
like because the size is different. Listen, I hate it. I
Yeah.
absolutely cannot stand it. I hate it. Being a
Pretty
Habs
big.
fan, I am a sucker. Yeah, it just looks bad. I am a sucker for tradition in that. I accept it's happening, but God, I hate it. I didn't like how Greg Grushinski had that tweet of, I don't like it, and then he was like, but you're at the Bell Center with the boards and sponsorships. I think it's very unfair to compare the name of an arena and the sponsorship boards to the jersey. I don't think that's completely fair to do. I get the point he was making. Again, yeah, it's not gonna stop me from watching, but it bothers me. But it's like I'm not gonna cry about it.
But
I
there's
don't like it, but
sorry.
whatever.
There's definitely
No,
hockey
that's it.
purists out there. There's definitely hockey purists out there who do still complain about the boards.
Doesn't Brian Burke hate that? Like
Oh,
he's
I'm
always like
sure.
leave. He's always like leave it alone and that boards. I don't even. Maybe this is a sign. Board advertisements never really pop my attention anyway, unless they're like when Guy Lafleur passed away and they like customized them.
Mhm.
But maybe it's going to be like that. It's just sort of like when you see the picture of like or in the one of the captains today, and you just see like the little RBC patch. It's like, God damn it, that looks awful. But again, as long as they don't plop it on the jerseys they're selling, then that's fine. Like, otherwise, then yeah, who cares? It's
I
just
thought
going to
they're
be
just
a
gonna be a bit
thing.
more subtle with it. That's the thing.
Yeah, I don't know if maybe it's a thing of maybe RBC are kind of like, no, we want it this way. But then if the Raptors can get away with it, you think the Habs could? I don't
Yeah.
know. It's also weird how the jersey, like, remember how with the helmet ads, it was like, so Toronto played Scotiabank Arena. Their helmet ad, Scotiabank. The Bell Center, Montreal, helmet ads, Bell. It's weird that they're actually doing some more. I'd like to know how much it is too, how much they've sort of
Yeah.
agreed upon.
Yeah.
The Oilers are not doing it. That's really weird.
That's what I
Yeah.
read.
So they don't draw the line at Jake Virtanen, but we can't touch. Oh, okay, that's gross. I don't.
Wait,
You know what's the weird one for me? Remember the well they have it now, but the Bruins with TD, it's just so weird. There's green.
I know it's yeah.
We
Yeah.
just see
Yellow, but
everything
it's
else
like
in black and yellow. Yeah.
yeah.
Um,
It's just
but can I just say it? The Canadians played this perfectly, doing the
Oh, so yeah.
RBC
Oh, yeah,
announcement
they
and
So-
Nick Suzuki on the same day. Like, just
so
clean it
was.
up.
So I had gone on my computer a few like bits after, so I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, okay. I had seen the RBC stuff, so I'm like, okay, that's kind of lame. And then I had like 30, 40 minutes later, I went back on my computer. I'm like, oh, Suzuki. Oh, okay. Oh, they buried it really well.
Yeah.
They buried it. See, you can bury that instead of trying to bury Logan May like they tried to do last year free agency. Thank God that Paul Wilson and Bergeron are now gone. But Chantal Machabée was like, you know what? This is
She knew what was up.
we'll try this in a less maniacal fashion here. So jersey ads. That isn't just a pure Montreal thing. That's just sort of we thought it was relevant because it's sort of the big thing today. And I think it's just kind of, especially because it's the oldest logo in the league. You know what I mean? I understand. It's, again, I don't like it, but it's we knew it had been coming. We know, like, it's no secret. For years we've been sort of told that the jersey ads were coming. Still unfortunate. Okay, so before we keep going, this is what the rest of the show is going to look like. We're going to talk about the Tim Stützle extension. We will be talking about the Canadian women winning gold at the Worlds. They just keep kicking the Americans' butt the past year. I love it. But we're going to have to talk about some Hockey Canada stuff because they just love putting their foot in their mouths. We're going to talk about the Leafs, a.k.a. with the Zach Aston Reese PTO, which I really like, actually. We're going to talk about the Habs, their goalie situation, and Kirby Dach's extension. But before we get there, it is time for the 2-on-1 podcast pre-season far too early award show. It doesn't get the sort of big title that the annual award show of prestige and honor gets, but we will be going over, we will each be giving our breakout star of the year, our Hart, Norris, Vezina, Calder, Coach of the Year, GM of the Year, and Cup winner. I just realized I just put Norris and I didn't do our normal Fulton Reed Norris thing. So we can just, that's on me. I forgot. But again, this isn't the 2-on-1 podcast show of prestige and honor. This is just the 2-on-1 podcast preseason too early award show. Exactly. Gentlemen, how about we start with your breakout stars of the year? I know Alex and I both have a player from the Pacific. I don't know who it is. I think Daniel, I have a feeling you also have a player for the Pacific.
I have, surprisingly, I don't.
Oh,
but I have one guy and two honorable mentions.
Go ahead then.
I want to hear your honorable mentions first.
All right. So I just really thought about it. I just wanted to look at age, wanted to look at who the player was, and I think I actually have three of them. So I think the one obvious one is going to be Tim Stützle. I think that he's just going to take another step to being the elite center Ottawa's been craving for so long, and will be a true number one, I think. So I think Josh Norris will be a solid number two eventually. My two honorable mentions, and I think they're just two guys that we've been following for a while, two guys that I think they've shown the potential already, but they're still pretty young. It's Nico Hischier and Dylan Cousins.
Whoa. So is Stützle your breakout and the other two are the... Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting. Stützle, I was going to go with Stützle, but I'm like, I think one of you two will say it. I'm sorry, and it's used Hischier, and who was the other one?
Dylan Cousins.
I always think it's Cousins. It should be Cousins. The workhorse from Whitehorse, they call them. Oh, too bad they lost the Americans. Like, Chipper Seagrass and Cole Caulfield. Spencer Knight. Not a Skarov, though. Kept dropping his goalie stick.
Yeah, I don't know who liked that guy.
Ray Ferrara was just... Daniel. I'm going to call you out here. So I was telling the guys earlier, I was listening back to one of our Bizarre Adventures, our Star Wars Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith. And at the beginning of that episode, it's really funny. Alex is joking about like doing a redraft or something. It might have been right after my jaw surgery. So I think it was something you guys might have done when I was off for a few weeks. Okay. And then it was like we have to, Daniel said we got to do the redraft to see where the goalie goes. Referring to Yaroslav Askarov, who Daniel's a massive fan of. That guy, it was like 2 months of nothing but that. Anyway, Alex, who is your breakout star of the year?
I have two of them, as I told you before the episode. Yes. I actually have Dylan Cousins too.
Okay.
I think he's going to have a good year, and I think Buffalo's going to have a better year than they did last year. I still don't think they're a playoff team.
Are you saying watch out for Buffalo?
No, I'm not. No, I'm not saying what I think I'm not doing that again. That's an episode one thing. Okay. I'm not going back that far. I think they're. I don't think the thing is the East or the Atlantic story is so competitive, especially like the top 5 teams, that like, okay, Buffalo's better than Ottawa. They're
I'm not
better
even comfortable
than.
saying there. I think the only team I'm 100% saying confident they're better than is Montreal.
You don't think they're better than Detroit?
I think Detroit are, you know what, side thing? I think they're going to be slow getting out the gate because there's a lot of new bodies and chemistry takes a while.
Yeah.
So I'm not confident in saying it.
Okay. Fair.
Only because Buffalo also have my Calder vote. So yeah.
Okay.
So who is your
My
other
other
guy?
guy is he is in the Pacific.
Okay.
It's not Mason McTavish.
Okay.
It's Jamie Drysdale.
Okay. All right. Okay.
I like that one.
Jamie Drysdale. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
The Ducks have a few guys that you could be like, yeah, that guy's pretty great. My breakout player is Quentin Byfield.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
I did not think of that.
I want him to be healthy. It's just he seems like the kind of big body the Kings want down the middle, and I just really, I that's a guy I'm really rooting for to succeed is Quentin Byfield. So, you know what, I think everyone's looking for the Kings to take a big step next year, and he's obviously going to be a big part of that. The Hart Trophy for the MVP, I have with Cale Makar. It feels like he really propelled himself into that conversation. I don't have him winning the Norris. You'll see why. Don't worry.
How can he not? Okay, wait a second. How can he win the Hart but not the Norris? That
you will see. You will see, Alex.
It's like the Shohei Ohtani argument right now.
He has put himself into such a category right now. His confidence is going to be sky high. So Cale Makar, I think, is my Hart Trophy winner. Go ahead, Alex and Daniel.
I went for the easy answer.
Yep.
Sorry, I have Connor McDavid. He's just the best player in the league.
Really? Never heard of him.
No, listen, sometimes you have to go for the easy answer. Don't want to piss people off.
Strong with the force.
No, honestly, I think he's just gonna rip up the league next year, as he does every year.
I wish. Okay, so I'm usually like being creative with this, but I also have Connor McDavid, and I wanted to not make it so obvious, but yeah, I had to pick him. Still going to be the best player. Like, you know, pending any other factors happening, he's still going to be that guy.
He's stupid good. He's just so funny. It's funny to see what he does. I'm going to a back-to-back games in Montreal.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I was like, you know, obviously you guys know I go to Montreal for games a lot, but this is the first I'm doing back-to-back games.
Okay.
The Saturday is the Islanders, which is like, but the Sunday is the Oilers.
Okay.
And I don't know if I've ever been to a game against the Oilers. I think I have, but seeing this McDavid a couple of years later, I am very excited to see what he could possibly do. Hopefully it's Jake Allen and not Sam Mombo, and please God, don't be Caden Primo. But that should be fun. Okay, the Norris Trophy. Daniel, no, Alex, you haven't been first. Alex, then me, then Daniel. Who's your Norris Trophy winner?
My Norris Trophy winner, again, I feel like I'm going for the easy answer here.
That's fair.
I'm gonna go with Cale Makar.
Yep. Okay. Yeah.
I don't need to. Do I need to explain myself? I don't think I do.
Kind of won a lot last year. Yeah.
Adam, can I just go now because I also have Cale Makar and my notes are just put because yeah.
Yeah,
that's what is in my notes.
Cale Makar.
I need to now understand why you have not Cale Makar as winning the Norris, but the Hart.
Listen. A big change has happened with this other team. The new GM. Ignore the fact I say they would.
Oh my god! Oh my god! No! The
real problem child in San Jose is gone.
Oh my god!
First power play, first ice time pairing. Erik Karlsson is gonna be back. If I keep saying it, that ankle will magically repair itself. I missed front. Erik Karlsson is back, baby. He's gonna win the Norris. I can only hope. Or he's gonna have a great start, and then he'll break his ankle and be out for the rest of the year again. Like every single year, I just want Erik Karlsson back.
This might be the first time a Norris winner finishes dead last in the division.
Yeah. When I
It'd be a
sort of,
record.
I kind of did my Norris Trophy first and meme, and then I realized, wait, I made Cale Makar my MVP. Gonna have to go with it.
Okay. So you really think Cale Makar is actually going to win the Norris?
Oh, of course. Yeah, no.
Okay.
Yeah, it won't be close.
Just to clear
No,
things up.
Eric Carlson, though. I have to keep the meme alive.
You do.
Vezina Trophy winner. I think this guy is the clear third best goalie in the league, but I would gladly take him. And I think some of the additions they made, especially on the back end, I think that UC Saros has a real chance to. I love UC Saros. I love him. I have him winning the Vezina. Now, there's three good answers we could all say here.
Yeah.
So I don't think there's a wrong answer.
I'll just go now because I also have UC Saros, and I wrote down the same things too. I said more to work with now. Defense is improved, and I think they're gonna have the momentum from last year.
I'm gonna
of getting swept?
Of
UC Saros being
believing again that they could make the playoffs.
He was hurt. Because if he had played, he would have stole a game or two.
Yeah,
maybe. I think that's why I said Nashville in 6. I'm like Saros, and then he got hurt. Damn it.
I'm gonna go with Andrei Vasilevsky. What a surprise! I do have my pardon. You're shocked.
I'm shocked. None of us said Shesterkin. Mike's gonna be mad that we didn't go him. We didn't go Lafreniere for breakout star. He's gonna
let me explain. I got a reason because we can make the argument that Tampa Bay's defense took a tiny step back, losing McDonough and stuff, right? Yeah. We can say it.
Yeah.
I mean, they still got the GOAT, Zach Bogosian.
Have so respect it doesn't for Jan Ruta.
Listen, they still got the GOAT, Zach Bogosian. It doesn't matter. It's all fine. But I think there's going to be a little more reliance on Andrei Vasilevsky, and I think he's going to prove himself again, and then he's going to win the Vezina. Like, it's just easy.
Any opposing team, stop Bronx cheering Vasilevsky because he will eliminate you.
yeah, literally.
That's fair. I mean, I still love the discussions. Everyone's like, who's the best goalie in the league? Shesterkin. And then everyone forgets in the playoffs, Shesterkin said, no, Vasilevsky.
Yeah.
Stop it.
No, it's Andrei Vasilevsky. Like, I'm not gonna hear anything else.
I do not care. He was sub 900 against the Leafs. It does not matter. Does not matter.
It does not matter.
Stop it.
It does. Igor Shesterkin was the best goalie last year, right? I said that. I admitted that.
Yeah.
This is your catchphrase. Yep.
I admitted that. Mm-hmm. But Andrei Vasilevsky is the best goalie in the league.
Only because Price is retired now, of course. Moving on. I miss you, Carey. The Calder Trophy for Rookie of the Year. I have Owen Power. Okay. Very excited to see Owen Power play. Very excited. I haven't been this excited to watch the Sabres ever. And I can only imagine how Will Christopoulos is thinking right now, my man.
Yeah.
Hope you're enjoying Brilliant Diamond, by the way, if you got it. I was talking to him the other day. Don't worry about it. Go ahead.
Okay.
Yeah.
Daniel?
I have Mason McTavish.
There he is.
What I wrote down, experience. He has experience everywhere and then some. He's skilled. He upped that physical side of his game to stay in the league. And he's become a better skater since he got drafted. So gotta go with him. He has been all around.
So what do you mean by experience? Just because obviously this is Rookie of the Year.
Mm-hmm.
I mean high level.
I think high level international and just the right place for him to develop. So the World Juniors and then we had the Olympics and then he also played in Europe.
You know what's funny? I wonder if the Ducks are going to send him for the other World Juniors and he could win 2 gold medals in 6 months. That'd be really funny. But then it's at a time when no one here's what I love about McTavish is he has a Jordan Eberle moment with that save in overtime. I love it. He'll be a household name. Go ahead, Alex. What's your call?
I also have Mason McTavish.
The disrespect to the defenseman. Disrespect. Anyway, I'm not good with the Calder. Last year I got screwed by a certain coach with mine. So but Owen Power. I think it's going to be a good year for the Calder. There's some exciting kids coming in. Very exciting kids coming in. Coach of the Year. Okay, I'm not going to lie to you guys. My GM and Coach of the Year are from the same team. Okay. So, so I have DJ Smith. Because here's the thing. I was looking at who are the teams we're expecting to be bad that are going to prove us wrong. And I'm like, I don't know. Because the Flyers are not going to be good and I refuse to believe they are. I'm like, the Sabres are not going to the Sabres aren't going to knock anyone out the top of the Atlantic. The Pacific, like if Vegas, you know what I mean. I'm trying to think of the criteria, so I'm just like, if the Sens can squeak in, DJ Smith's a hockey guy that people seem to like, right? And so that also goes into my GM of the year is Pierre Dorian, and I do think Pierre Dorian deserves it because he has done some work. He has had a good summer. A good summer.
Yes. Do you want to just do both of them or
yeah, go ahead.
Okay. So as you know, it should be John Cooper, but it's obviously not going to be John Cooper. No. So I'm going to give it to John Hines.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah, it is.
I had to think for a second. I'm like,
not New Jersey. Yeah. Yep. Nashville. I think they got better. And I also think like they're going to be a playoff team next year. I honestly think they can finish second in that division if they try hard enough. Above St. Louis, above Minnesota. If they play well enough, sorry, not try hard enough. I assume they're going to try if they play well enough. And I think that's going to get John Hines. I think that could get John Hines a Jack Adams.
By the way,
am I going to do? Sorry.
Yeah. Go ahead. Yeah.
No. By the way, what?
Nino Niederreiter, good low-key acquisition for them, by the way.
I like it. Yeah. I have Brad Treliving as my GM of the year, by the way. But you're gonna understand why. You're gonna understand why. Just wait.
Okay. I was gonna say, are you setting it up? I'm like,
no.
I'm at a clip here.
Just put like our thing from with Will when we talked about the Flames. Oh, because they signed Michael Stone to a PT. I mean,
no, that's not it. That's not it. Daniel, go. Daniel,
if there are two, does it have to do with the tier list that we do every offseason?
Potentially, but you'll have to wait.
Okay. Okay,
I'm not gonna tell you.
That's called a tease. Is it going to be on an episode coming up?
Potentially, yeah.
Okay. Okay, go ahead, Daniel. Coach of the year and GM.
Coach of the year, I have Gerard Gallant. I think the Rangers are heading in the right
Red Wings are gonna.
Honestly, I actually like the Rangers are on the up and up. I think he's going to be able to keep the momentum going from what they've been able to build. And for the way he's been able to really roll with a lot of young guys, and he's going to come in with a few new faces now, I think that he deserves it.
Can you be nominated for the Jack Adams 2 years in a row? Is that allowed? Or has that ever been done?
I feel I think Brind'Amour has had a streak of being nominated. Yeah. Okay. I think he won it twice in a row, which was like weird. What? Like, let's be honest. If we were just saying coach of the year, it's between Brind'Amour, Cooper, my guy Jared Badnar.
Yeah.
Like there is a small number of them that you can put in there, but obviously, coach of the year is a bit of a farce sometimes. So is GM of the year a lot too.
Well, it's just 3 of the 4 teams who make it into the Final Four.
Exactly. Yes. Yeah. I forgot how bad that is. Sorry, Danny. Who was your GM of the year?
My GM, and it's also Pierre Dorian. But the reason why I did is because the way he's been able to be aggressive but have good balance in his moves. I think there's a bit of a pattern I've seen here. I'm first going to use the Pittsburgh Penguins, and then maybe, I guess to a much lesser extent now, the 2009 Chicago Blackhawks is when you realize the young talent you've already amassed there, that core you want to build there, you want to give them the support they need to compete. And I think that he did that at the right time for the team. So I think that is why I like it. And also just improving the overall culture and environment of the team. They have a lot of work to do there, but he had a great summer.
Sorry, I was muted. I was blowing my nose. Yeah. I think if there are 2 competitors for champion of the offseason on our tier list, when we get there with Mike, it is coming. I think it will be between Treliving and Dorian. It's going to be close. And our final thing for today, who do you guys think is going to win the Stanley Cup? Alex, go ahead.
You want me to go first?
Yes.
Okay. I think we're going to see something happen next year that we haven't seen in a while.
How long is a while?
29 years. I think.
29?
I don't know if I
Oh,
can
they're
do
gonna say
math.
since 1967.
I was about to say,
No.
I'm like,
God,
is he...
no. When was the last time you've ever heard me say that on this podcast? Never.
29 years.
Okay, maybe 30 years. I don't know if I can do math correctly. Think about it. Do the math.
Oh, I got it.
Oh, Daniel.
Is this a last dance?
No, this is we're gonna see a Canadian team win the Stanley Cup this year.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
Oh, so I calculated 30. I calculated exactly 30 years.
Yeah. Isn't that 1993? 2023?
No,
it was-
1992 would be the 30 year. Oh, wait.
no, it's
Okay,
90
never mind. Got it.
93.
Sorry, I calculate 92 from 2022.
Should have been
Okay, go on.
2014, but you know.
Then, like, the Pittsburgh Penguins are gonna win again.
No,
Okay.
Now you're gonna understand why I gave my last
Okay.
answer.
Oh,
I actually
okay.
have the Calgary
All right.
Flames winning the Stanley Cup this year.
Okay,
Fair
got
enough.
it.
Fair, I like that. Okay.
Yeah.
As long as they don't play the Oilers and Markstrom falls
Listen,
in himself.
I mean, they don't have
John.
Johnny Gaudreau, so like, who's gonna choke in the playoffs, right?
Oh, Columbus.
They got Nazem Kadri. I mean, he might get suspended, but
No,
he probably won't. He said
He's
it.
earned it.
He's earned it. He's earned it.
He
He's
has
earned it.
earned the benefit of the doubt. He got it. He did it. Didn't get suspended, and they won.
Yeah, exactly.
there you go,
So as long as he doesn't get suspended, they're gonna win.
There it is.
Yeah.
There it is. Daniel, your cup winner.
Mine is, I think the Avs are going to repeat. I love the core there. Everyone's still in their prime or getting there. They've been able to replenish, to the most part, a lot of it. A lot of the depth they did lose in free agency. And I think the biggest thing I had, and this was something I talked about last offseason, was the way the team's been able to come together around an average to slight above average goaltending. I think that was the biggest thing that we had going for the Avs, and they were able to overcome it. So I think they're just going to run with it.
I need to double check a nationality of a player, otherwise my point. God damn it, he's Czech. Okay, never mind. I was going to make a joke that if Evgeny Dodonov is going to be the new version of Andre Palat, and he's going to be the great thing, and Tampa Bay are going to go win a Stanley Cup. Because actually, right now, I don't trust the Avs. I think it's not being made enough that they haven't replaced Kadri yet. Listen, I
You
like
mean Evan Rodriguez isn't enough?
Why was it $2 million, by the way?
Because he played with Sidney Crosby at one point. Because here's what happened. He scored all his goals when Crosby was hurt, actually, and then he just disappeared. It was like, oh, okay, which is still Pittsburgh Penguins. I don't know. But it was like, last time I looked, it was like JT Compher, their second line center. They'll get someone probably by the deadline. Would you like Christian Dvorak?
I was convinced they were going to trade for JT Miller.
And then I think everyone thought he was going to get traded, period. And then the Canucks. And I don't trust Georgiev unless he's playing the Leafs. I don't trust Georgiev or Pavel Francouz. Yeah, I love, you guys know I love the Avs. I just don't buy them repeating. As it stands, we have a whole season to get through, and they can add. Like, obviously, the way the Central is, I think they're going to walk to the playoffs. But it's just, I just think they're Tampa. I don't want to bet against them. I think they're, even without McDonough, there are guys that they're just going to do it. They're going to go get some random guy at the deadline. He's going to work. It's just how Tampa just function.
When Zach Bogosian's playing 22 minutes a night in the Stanley Cup final.
It's disgusting. Who was the guy they got? Everyone thought they were going to buy him out because of the contract, and they extended him.
Myers.
Philip Myers is going to turn into like a deity on the right side. It's going to be like the second coming of Scott. I don't know. It's just Tampa. I have enough respect to them where I'm like, I believe in this room. And I really liked Pierre-Edouard Bellemar's interview with 32 Thoughts. Really, really liked the interview. And sort of hearing him talk about Tampa and that, and same with Victor Hedman. And again, Victor Hedman's on that team. I like Victor Hedman. There's just a lot to like about Tampa. I don't know how many more years they're going to be able to go.
Yeah.
Because like Stamkos is getting older. And not to mention, you got to remember when players play as many deep playoff runs, you know what? It may be 20, but the body's a lot older. And eventually it's going to hit them. They're gonna play all. No, remember when Freeman was like they're tired last year and they made it to the finals? They're gonna get tired eventually. I don't think it's this year,
Tired.
but they're gonna keep going.
I'll
And
never forgive him for that.
You're saying Jonathan Taves is actually 43 years old?
I will genuinely never forgive Elliot Freeman for saying I'm tired.
Daniel, by the way, Daniel just sort of said it. Tampa gonna get Patrick Kane probably. I know you said Taves, but they're gonna get Patrick Kane. I don't know how.
Lord.
It's gonna happen. It's gonna happen. Okay.
Who needs Phil Kessel? Get Patrick Kane.
Yeah, and then exactly there you go. Okay. The Sens. Back to them for the bit. Enjoy a award show. Can't wait to see how bad they all age. Tim Stützle signs an extension with the Ottawa Senators. This was the big news of the week, but then the Habs happened, and I'm not giving the Sens the spotlight. It's our podcast, and I steer to see if you want to change it, write a bad review. I don't care.
Is that because the Sens fans and Hab fans have been going at it all week?
I just don't why. I don't know why Sens fans are trying to tweet about Habs fans begging for relevancy when their rink is in the middle of nowhere.
The battle for Gatineau.
And it's
like I'm so happy to be on the outside of it for once.
I'm just like Sens fans are just like they've had one good summer and they have all of a sudden turned into like monsters.
Do we have any Sens fan like
Mike.
in our friend? Yeah, Mike. Oh yeah,
I forgot he's a Sens fan.
Yeah.
On depending on the day, it's just like simmer down, Ottawa. Like Ridley, I was reading a Corey Pruitt article and he's like maybe there could be a Nils Lundqvist Ridley Grieg trade. Sens probably wouldn't do it, but talking about that, I'm like if Sens fans see this, they're gonna riot because they think Ridley Grieg's the next Brad Marchand. It's like calm down. Just I felt bad for the Sens fans for a long time, and then the past summer they have turned into the sickos meme that made them so lovable. They have lived long enough. They didn't die heroes. They've become the villains. That's what happens. What has happened to the Sens? But anyway, they do some nice business here. So next year is when Tim Stützle's new extension kicks in with Ottawa. It's 8 years. Very interesting that 32 Thoughts a few weeks ago had their interview with Tim Stützle in Paris. And they asked him, it's like, any contract talks? He's like, not much, but I want to be here long-term. Few weeks later, 8 years extension. It is a big AAV. It's $8.2 million. There's some spare change in there. We don't care about it.
8.35.
8.35. I'm confused.
Yeah, Kachuk's 8.2 in spare change.
I wrote down the wrong. God damn it! I wrote down the wrong one, and I double checked all the contracts because I have a point about what I like what Dorian's done a little later. Anyway, it's $8 million in their stuff afterwards. Who cares? Tim Stützle. Beside the diving, does have a bit of diving. Wasn't he was he second or third overall his draft year?
Third.
Third, and
after Quinn and Byfield.
One of the best videos ever with him and the late Alex Trebek.
Yeah.
With that, like, great video, fantastic video, great way to be drafted. There's always a thing of you bet on potential. This is a big bet, but I personally like this bet more than Tage Thompson. No disrespect to Tage Thompson. And again, I can't stand the Sens and I can't stand Tim Stützle a lot. But I kind of trust what I see with Tim Stützle.
Yeah, I'll give the Sens praise on this one for sure. As soon as the contract was signed, everyone went and compared it to what New Jersey did with Hischier and what they did with Jack Hughes, and I think the comparison with Jack Hughes is really good in that it's a bet, right? And we saw it last year with Jack Hughes. Now, man, I wish he was healthy because I'm sure he would have had a ridiculous season. Yeah. And if he's healthy this year, I'm sure he's going to have a ridiculous season, making that $8 million look more than fine. Mm-hmm. And I think, obviously, we have to remember he still has the extra year on his ELC. So he could absolutely be worth the $8 million by the end of the season. And it might take a year or two more. Who knows? But that's fine considering the position I think the Sens are in. I don't think it's crazy that it's going to take an extra year or two for him to be worth that money. I think I'd rather overpay a young guy who's going to get there than overpay an aging star who might not be there in 2 or 3 years, especially considering the position that the Sens are in right now.
And considering he is transitioning to be a full-time center.
Yes.
It's very important. Go ahead, Dan.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I really like it. I think, again, I've mentioned with Pierre Dorian, creating a new environment for this team. I think it's just a huge switch from what we've seen now, that you get these in-house guys, more or less. I'll consider Josh Norris an in-house guy. He was traded when he was in the NCAA. And you commit to them long term. This is a stark change from what we saw before with, for example, bringing in Matt Duchene or Mark Stone and then trading them for pennies on the dollar at the deadline because these guys didn't want to stay. And then what we saw with Erik Karlsson. And for me, I really think that this is just in the right place right now, because what Alex said, $8 million, we don't know how well he's going to do next season. I think he's going to be a breakout star, and eventually this will become one of the bargain deals that we see, especially when a lot of the top tier centers are getting the 12 million plus eventually.
I'm going to steal the line here from one of my co-hosts here. Don't forget, in a few years, the cap is going up tremendously.
Damn it.
So it will be good. Here's what I really like more than just this deal. If Pierre Dorian can re-sign Alex DeBrincat, so Tim Stützle 8 years starting next year, so technically including this season, 9 seasons with the Sens. Josh Norris 8 years, Tkachuk 6 years left, as well as Thomas Chabot. The core's been locked up by Pierre Dorian. That's what I really like here. The core has at least 6 years together. That's a group that's going to grow together. They already have started, but they're going to learn to win together. They're going to learn to lose together. That's a lesson, but that's not me just chirping the Sens. We all know, we've all seen our teams lose tragically, and the best athletes are to come out of it for the better. I can't remember, who is it? Is it Niki Lauda who said, I learned a lot more in a loss than I did a win?
That sounds like
Niki Lauda.
Definitely sounds right.
Yeah. And Mercedes better freaking somebody tell Ferrari you're supposed to learn from mistakes, by the way. Thanks.
I also mentioned it too, also having Claude Giroux to come in. I don't think we mentioned that. You're gonna lose together, but you're not gonna be without a leader. It's not gonna be a bunch of young guys anymore, just trying to figure it out on their own.
Listen, guys, I lost in the cup final. I feel your pain. But no, and not to mention, Giroux has a sort of learning the pressure. Didn't play for a Canadian team, but he played in Philly. That's got to be as close as, we all know what Philly's like. And he's called Giroux. He's freaking nasty.
I also like the state he played when Paul Holmgren, remember he kept doing those really crazy deals where it's like, oh, they weren't winning. Let's trade Jeff Carter and Mike Richards at the same time. And then Claude Giroux is our number one center now after being the third line center.
I was going to say the Flyers doing something crazy and ridiculous moves that are kind of questionable. That sounds like them every year.
And he was a consistent guy. He never said anything. I don't think he said anything bad in the media. Good Claude guy. Giroux? Yeah.
Say what you want about the Flyers, but they are consistent. As Gordon Ramsay would say, consistently crap. You always Tortorella, there's something wrong with the room. Can't wait.
You brought up Pierre Dorian's record there, and I think, myself included, a lot of people give Pierre Dorian a lot of crap for some of the moves that he makes.
Mm-hmm.
But I think if you really look at some of those moves, I think now if we revisit the Erik Karlsson trade, at the time, I think I don't think it was looked at upon very well.
No,
for the Senators. Fair?
Because at the time, everyone thought that, the Tim Stützle pick, I remember everyone was trying to, not everyone, but there were speculation, especially where the Sharks were at, a year before that, when they went to the conference finals, is that pick's going to be a low 20 pick. And then we don't, what is Josh Norris? Because I remember in the pre-drafts for 2017, where he went, I believe he was ranked in the late 20s as well, early second round. And the Sharks kind of not a big reach, but they kind of reached for him.
You know what the Sharks kind of needed? young talent. You know what they kind of would probably need right now? Josh Norris.
Yeah.
Um,
Like Pierre Dorian's been put in extremely tough situations on
Yeah.
multiple occasions. Eric Carlson, Mark Stone, Mike Hoffman.
oh, Mike Hoffman and Eric Carlson
Like,
together
yeah.
hitting heads.
Like, I mean, I'm sure I'm missing I'm sure Matt
Brian
Duch- like
Dzingel.
I'm sure I'm missing a few names. And listen, dude's making some good moves.
You just think, you also wonder how much Melnick had to do, and even in those few months, how much did McGuire have to say? Everything. Like, again, you look at the Sens were such a laughing stock. Like, and I don't mean to dance on, Eugene Melnick's grave here, but the famous Mark Borbietsky video, the whole, like, again, that outdoor game against the Habs where it was like he threatened to move the team. I'm trying. There's one more thing. It's on the top of my mind. I'm really trying. Remember how it's really felt like Melnick was the one who chased Eric Carlson out of town. I remember there was a thing of like the company card and like yelling in the locker room, and there was a lot of bad blood there. There's something else I can't remember for the life of me. It was on the tip of my tongue to do with the Sens and Melnick. Remember Pierre Dorian, Guy Boucher as our coach. Like a week later,
Yeah.
Guy Boucher is gone. That did not feel like a Pierre Dorian move to me. So, I remember at one point, a lot of the trades haven't aged well, but I remember when he was sort of making a lot of those moves, like when the Sens had traded off and traded Stone in the return of that. I think I gave him my GM of the year one vote because I'm like, these trades look great for the rebuild. And I mean, the rebuild is starting to listen. Some of those trades have worked, some of them have not. It's funny, the ones you think didn't work have worked, and the ones you thought that were great, Eric Brandstrom has not turned out very well.
No.
I know a lot of people go on about DJ Smith doesn't like him, but my God, at some point,
Play the guy.
Thomas Chabot is doing
either-
really well for
like-
some reason. Why is not Eric Brandstrom?
Like either play him or trade him. Like something's got to give.
Nils Lundqvist just have a problem spot, but you know what I mean? There's,
It's not a bad idea.
Dorian is such a, like, his history. He could write a book, I bet, about some of the stuff that has happened in Ottawa. But like, good for him, and I'm happy for Sens fans.
Are you happy for? Are you actually happy for Sens fans?
For the good ones.
Tell us how you feel.
Not for those Sens fans.
Not for those, but for those.
The one.
Yeah.
How about the ones who say that there's no patience?
No patience in Montreal. Shout out to the athletic writers in Montreal just writing an article proving Mark Bergevin's thing of there's no patience in Montreal for a rebuild. And shout out to Jeff Molson today saying patience is a virtue in this city. We know that. And, the GM today saying, yeah, we want to win, but not at the cost of development. Literally, if you clearly don't know this fan base today if you think there's no patience. Everyone wants them to lose this year. Shut up. Joel Edmondson.
It's just Joel.
Someone with a letter was like, we want to win, and the whole fan base. 20 minutes later, Connor Bedard was trending on Twitter. You know why? Because we're like, no, Eddie, we want to lose. We want Bedard. Then you can be good. Shut up until then. But you got to fix you back, so we like you. But anyway, shout out to Mike Matheson doing his freaking thing again, but he had Cole Caulfield, so we couldn't get mad at him this time. About to cough. I'm going to mute myself. But first, congratulations to the women's national team. Having a pretty good performance, beating the States in the gold medal game. You'll love to see it. I also want to give a shout out. I forgot to do this. I can't remember if it was the normal war juniors or it was the women's one. I think it was the women's one. Shout out to Team Japan. I'm pretty sure they had beaten Finland in the shootout to, I think it was, avoid relegation. And their goalie was basically like, listen, even when I'm getting shelled, this is a great feeling and sort of great for, like an experience for them. So I'm really, I wanted to mention them. And I want us to spend some time talking about the good before we get to the bad. Because my goodness, the women are great, aren't they? She didn't have a goal, but she assisted on the game-winning goal. Did noted greatest women's player of all time, Marie-Philippe Poulin. Fight me, Haley Wickenheiser. But yeah, tremendous performance from the women. I didn't catch all the game because unfortunately it was my day off and I was getting some stuff done for the week. But I caught the second and third period. I'm happy. I love them. Sorry, Hillary Knight. I love you too, but go Canada. I love it.
Yeah. Exactly. No, I mean, obviously, always anytime you can beat the US is always fun,
Hmm.
especially nowadays.
Oh, I know.
Just get him a little angry, and it's just so entertaining.
Oh,
It just for me, I did watch the gold medal game, and it was a really great game. It's just I don't know, like it's just the momentum now. I think right now, or just the feeling of hockey. Like when you associate Hockey Canada with the summer, I know it was the women's team, but it was just hard to get into it. And I'm not just saying it's just the women's game. It was everything. It was like the World Juniors. It was this. It was just kind of yeah to me. It was just okay. Yeah, it happened. Not in a bad way. Just kind of like I needed a bit of a reset before I could start watching Hockey Canada games again. And I know that's going to lead up to our next point.
well, because here's the problem: the women's team, the Canadian one, has had such a successful year and have like won every major tournament. I think it's like what the U18s they won gold, obviously Olympic gold, this World golds. I think I'm forgetting one more. Um, but they have won everything this year. But the problem is, obviously, we know the names involved in Hockey Canada. I don't know all their faces. So I'm watching the gold medals being given out. I'm like, yeah, suck it. We got the gold medals. I didn't realize until like 20 minutes after everything. Anthems are done. You love to see it. Blair Turnbull gets a medal without having to be on the stretcher. You love to see it. This is great. And then I see on Twitter that giving out the gold medals was Scott Smith, who, of course, is a big member of Hockey Canada.
The CEO,
The CEO,
who's been around for 20 years.
and, seems to be one of the guys that people want out and is not going out. Traveled to, I think it was in Denmark, or I think part of the tournament was in Denmark, but flew overseas to be there and in front of the camera. The biggest hockey event going right now because the regular season, the NHL is yet to start. Training camps hadn't even started yet. We didn't even know rookie camp rosters yet. It was all there. The cameras were there, and he decided to be there and present. Now, we have been critical of certain members of the national media. Not saying a lot, but on 32 Thoughts, Elliot Friedman, I thought, had a lot of good stuff to say about this. And a big point he made was sort of how selfish it was of Scott Smith. I have never seen a better example in my life of someone either being selfish or so damn emotionally sort of bankrupt. It's to the level of when Gary Bettman and Bill Daly had their ties undone, leaning back in their chairs when they had the media availability about everything going on with Kyle Beach.
Mm-hmm.
That's what has sort of resonated, but it was sort of like, what did you think was going to happen? What thought it was a good idea for you to go there and hand out those medals? What made you think it was a good idea for you to be present in front of the camera? When, if you've ever seen a medal ceremony, people, how it works is obviously the camera doesn't move with the players coming down the line. It is a set angle on the people handing them out. So you saw more in that medal ceremony of Scott Smith than you did of any player on that team. How asinine can one person be?
Well, it's not even funny. The ridiculous part of all this to me is before the tournament, did they not say they weren't playing for Hockey Canada? They were playing for Canada. The woman said this. So what was the thought process? Like, there's so many things where it's like, I don't want to say remove the scandal or remove the investigation and everything that's going on, because like it's obviously part of this, but it doesn't even have to be this particular thing. It could be anything else going on. What is the thought process on saying, I think we need to take a step back. We're getting highly criticized. It's like to me, what's crazy, the craziest part of all this to me is for the first time in like years, I've seen members of all three major political parties in this country federally agree on something. You know how nuts that you know how nuts that is to see as a 21-year-old, to see that for the first time in years federally there's all this agreement on that maybe you did something wrong. And it's like they don't understand, just because you went through whatever you went through with Parliament that one time or two times doesn't clean anything up. This is still going on. There's a lack of self-awareness, and there's a lack of just understanding of, if you're Scott Smith, or if you're the PR team, or whoever's idea this was there not a thought going across your head saying, couldn't we get literally any other women's hockey star, Haley Wickenheiser, Angela James? Like, I'm sure I'm missing many that could have done this instead of him. To me, this was like an absolute FU to everybody, to me, because it's like there's this lack of understanding of, yes, we get it. The board of Hockey Canada, who's the same crap as before, said that they want to keep you on.
Mm-hmm.
Not all publicity is good publicity. Let's put it like that.
Who probably helped? Sorry, go ahead, Dan.
No, I just kind of felt like, what were they trying to prove with that? Like, in a way, like, I kind of felt that for what was going on, the board they weren't paying attention to how grave this was, how this is something where it's like, listen, we have to tread lightly with this, because in a way it really did show, like what you guys mentioned, like it took away from what was supposed to be a celebration there.
To the thing of the board, by the way, who do you think helped either appoint those? But I'm not sure if it's an election thing or it's an appointment thing, but like, let's not forget how inbred hockey can be, and sort of, just how certain people, it's like when somebody gets elected and it's like, I need to fill out my cabinet or whatever. It's sort of the people who helped you get there. You know what I mean? And instead of somebody being fired, they get moved to a different position. Something like that. Like, it happens even politics. It happens with how Microsoft. There was a guy who was famously in charge of the first part of developing Halo Infinite. It was a crapshoot. They didn't fire him. He moved to a different department. So, saying a board kind of wants to keep you on, well, I wonder how exactly they got to that point in the business, how you got to that position, how they got to the position, because I'm sure you were patting each other on the back to get there. A little scratch my back, I'll scratch yours type thing. Now, going back to it, I just think, I wonder if it's them trying to send a message we're not going anywhere, which is just even worse. If that's just my own sort of idea. If it is, it's just arrogant doesn't even begin to describe it. It had nothing to do with you, that tournament. Absolutely nothing. And though all I could think of afterwards was those idiots. And I hate, because the thing the women have been through the past couple of years with the game, and sort of, remember there was that fiasco of the vaccination stuff in the Olympics, and they played a game against Russia with masks on, and it's just sort of, and the grind of sort of being in, I'm pretty sure they were in a bubble of some kind. And just to think their moment just got kind of spoiled like that, that just grinds my gears so much. I don't get how they're still in the position of power. It's like, I want to say, hell, at least the Blackhawks got rid of all their guys, but then you remember how Rocky Ward sort of reacted to that famous town hall in Chicago, and it almost reminds you of that when he's like, we're not going to talk about Kyle Beach. You don't get it, Rocky. Then sort of, it's like here, it's like, Scott Smith, you do not get it, do you? It's either it's arrogance, it's either stupidity, it's just sort of, there's so many things you can look at it, but it just makes your head spin looking at, what are you thinking? What's the matter with you? There's just some of the stuff you think about. Anything else you guys want to add on here?
I mean, I do this every time we talk, and I'm really glad that, not that they listen to me, but I'm glad that the point I was been trying to get across has now come true, in that when there are updates, it's not just Rick Westhead talking about it. Mm-hmm. That was obviously a serious problem 2 years ago, or a year ago, a year and a half ago, and we did talk about Kyle Beach and the updates on that, where it was just Rick Westhead, and then it was just a retweet, and sorry, you gotta do your job. You got to do your job here. And again, like they're doing it. Like I'm not criticizing at this point. I'm just keep doing it. Like
Frank Saravalli had some good tweets.
Yeah.
Anything else? Okay, perfect. To move on here, we just got a bit of quick little tidy business we can talk about. First off, the Leafs have a PTO coming that I really like here. It's Zach Aston Reese, a guy I'm shocked that didn't have a contract here. But I'm just wondering here, lads. Starting with you here, Alex. We sort of looked at his advanced numbers and we kind of thought, is this kind of another version of David Kempf? Feels like if there's anything you're going to get from Zach Aston Reese, it's going to be good, responsibly defensive and all that. Or defensively responsible, I should say.
Mm-hmm.
And how does that sort of fit into the bottom six identity the Leafs seem to be going here? Or is he just another body they're going to, the Leafs always do?
I mean, that's potentially an option. And I guess for the sake of this conversation, I'm not going to look at it that way.
Mm-hmm.
I think if you looked at what the Leafs did with their third line last year, and I think that was something that Sheldon Keefe has constantly been looking for as coach of the Leafs. Like, he always tried to move Zach Hyman down to the third line, not because he didn't like Zach Hyman, because he wanted to have a defensively responsible third line. And they had that last year with Engvall, Mikheyev, and David Kampf. Now you still have Engvall and Kampf. Now you need to replace something that Mikheyev, like you have to replace Mikheyev. And you can potentially do that with someone like Zach Aston Reese. And again, another guy who can play on both wings, like same as Ilya Mikheyev, and except he doesn't make $4 million. So like, that's the plus side here. Like I think, let's say Zach Aston Reese does end up signing with the Leafs. It's not a complete, I wouldn't be surprised if that third line is like that. I actually thought maybe Yarncrook would be on the third line, like just slotting it out through my head. But now let's say they go through this route again, like that second line left wing or second line winger, because I know Nylander or whoever goes back and forth is still up in the air. I wouldn't be surprised if a guy like Calle Yarncrook gets a chance on that second line. Like I think that's just going to be that second line winger is just going to be a mystery for the entire season, or unless they make another move.
Before I throw it to Daniel,
when
is Alex Kerfoot a UFA?
After this year?
After this year, and he makes $750,000.
What, Alex Kerfoot?
Yeah, in base salary.
Salary.
Yeah, cap hit. Yeah, cap hit 3.5.
When did that happen?
Cap hit 3.5. Space
just because I'm looking about where's Kerfoot, and this is I think I'm talking about a guy who's like, are we trading him? Daniel, Zach Aston Reese.
I actually always really liked him when he came out of the NCAA, signed with Pittsburgh. Very solid depth guy that will play the penalty kill for you. I was actually surprised Anaheim, a team where I think they just needed to add guys and have some responsibility there, especially in the bottom lines, would have kept him after the Rickard Rakell trade.
Mm-hmm.
But he is a guy that, I think is a sneaky good signing for the Leafs, at least for a PTO at this point. He is someone who's going to play in the bottom six. Solid guy. At this point, we already know what we're going to get with him. So I think it's just another Kyle Dubas thing where you're going to increase the depth. And what Alex said about that second line left wing, you're just going to see a carousel again to see what fits. Maybe we'll see another deadline deal potentially. We don't know. But at this point, starting the season, it is going to be a bit of a carousel. And, it's just more a good thing. There's nothing bad with this. So that's the way I see it.
You want a goal scorer?
Don't say Mike Hoffman.
I was going to say if Donov.
Oh, like Mike Hoffman.
No,
retained twice.
You've got to need to Donov. 1 year.
What would you want in return?
Picks for
How
this
about
year.
Alex Kerfoot?
No.
Well, then how would you want this money to work, man?
That's a good question. That's good. We retain half and then we figure it out afterwards.
Justin Hall.
What? Okay, then what's coming our way? I need something else to have that happen. I like Zach Aston. He's the sort of I'm pretty sure he was a guy that like they trusted last minute sort of hold the lead type guy in his Pittsburgh days. I remember I believe he has a big concussion. I don't want to say it was Tom Wilson who gave it to him, but it's like whenever the Caps and Pens play, there's always a guess about who probably throws that big a hit. But I've always liked Zach Aston Reese too. He's always like a nice depth guy that it feels like a championship team has available down there in their toolkit. Um,
Yeah, and they have a couple guys like that,
exactly.
like other than Zach Aston Reese.
It's so Leafs. It's just we got all these guys. We'll see what works. We'll see what doesn't.
Literally.
By the way, can the Leafs and Sandin pick this up so we can do our line projections and everything, please? Like we're waiting on you.
Honestly, I think
stuff.
we can make the line projections without Rasmus Sandin.
I'd like to mention, sorry, we didn't get to talk about this a few weeks ago, but remember when CP24 got that they looked at a fake tweet about Sandin going for Niels Höglander?
Was the Höglander? Oh, that was
and then CP24 didn't like. I didn't think they didn't catch it for a while, and everybody was screenshotting it.
That's tough. It's like when the Avs broadcast thought that the Leafs had gotten Jeff Petrie, and it was like, oh no.
Brutal.
Oh, that was tough. Yeah, Sandin, hurry up.
Yeah, we can make that those line projections without Sandin, to be honest. I can do it right now.
We got 25 days now. We got 25 days to figure that out. Save that for another episode, Alex, please.
Okay.
Kirby Dach, 4-year extension with the Habs. Because of injury problems and his games played stuff, he'll still be an RFA at the end of the deal. The AAV is $3.3 million and some spare change. It's just a bunch of crap afterwards. So what's interesting about this, and the guys at The Athletic pointed it out on the Sport Athletic, in 4 years, I think it's Gallagher has a year left, Anderson will have a year left, and all the guys like Savard and Price, all their deals are going to be up. So if Kirby Dach does play to the potential and he sort of turns into the player everyone wants him to be, the money will be there at the end of it. And even if he doesn't work out, the Habs bad rebuilding, they had to get money after like this offseason. I think it's a pretty safe bet to make. And it's, you know what I like about this that Bergevin used to do all the time, but Kent Hughes has done it with a young player, is Mark Bergevin had this sort of, he loved his 3 or 4 year deals, giving middling players like $3 million, 3.5. No, Hoffman has like 4. Here's what they are. Ben Sherratt had $3.5 million. Mm-hmm. David Savard makes in the $3 million range. Joel Edmondson makes around the $3 million range. I don't have Cap Friendly up right now, by the way. I remember this. Paul Byron got his in like the $3 million range. Like 4 years, instantly turned into dust. Joel Armia's in the $3 million range, like 3 years left, turned into dust the moment he sent it. He loved giving those older players that type of deal, but I like the bet with young Kirby Dach.
Tell me where you've heard this before. Let's say it doesn't work out in 2 years. $3 million in cap is going to be nothing. Because the cap's going to go up.
It's going up.
Tell me where you've heard that before.
But hey, I like it, and I like how he's an RFA at the end of it. I really like that.
Yeah, no, it's a good deal on a player who there's a lot more upside than there is downside, I think, at this point.
Oh yeah, it's interesting to see what he's going to be like under Marty St. Louis. You know what I mean? It's still so funny to me that every time there's a player coming in, it's like, listen, Marty's going to figure you out. God help me. We saw it was good with Marty, but if Marty gets to a point where they have to fire him, what are they going to do? Like, I'm like, you better hope Rod Brindamore is done in Carolina, because these motivators, listen, he fixed Cole. We like him, but I always think about that in the back of my mind. And then to finish off the show, we can have a quick discussion on goaltending in Montreal. Kane Primo gets a 3-year extension just under $1 million. It's one way. Okay. If anyone out there is confused about contracts, please follow Cap Friendly on Twitter and they will make sure you understand. Kane Primo is waiver exempt for a year or 56 more games. So he will start in Laval. It'll be out in Mondo.
56 more NHL games played or 56?
They didn't clarify. They just said games.
Oh, okay.
So it's that or a year. So That's how it works. So basically, the way that is, we know Carey Price is now done.
Mm-hmm.
Kevin Weeks sort of said that Jake Allen, the Habs are talking extension, and at the golf tournament today, he said there are, like Allen said, they've talked, but we're still in early sort of stages here. Um, it seems to be the way it looks to me, at least, is and Montembeau, I think, got a year or two. I can't quite remember off the top of my head.
He'll be a UFA at the end of next season, so he has 2
So,
years.
so at the end of next year, so
Yeah.
2024.
Yeah.
What do you guys make of that? So you try and keep Allen because you don't want to give Primo the reins right away because he hasn't proven it yet.
Mm-hmm.
And they don't really have anyone else in the system. How weird is it? This is the first time since 2000, like even before Price, they had Huey. When was the last time we said the Canadians don't have a good goaltender in the system?
Oh, that's
just
not
like-
what I thought.
It's been
That's
in
not
our
what I thought you
lifetime?
were gonna say. I didn't.
No,
think
it
that's
hasn't
what
because
you were
Jose Theodore, Jeff Hackett, and then Jocelyn Thibault, and then Patrick Waugh.
So what were you gonna say there? So it predates us.
I thought you were gonna say this is the first time we're starting a season on the podcast, and Michael McNiven's not on the roster.
Oh, I was gonna mention him.
that's-
Yeah.
That's just OHL goalie of the year. But
What do we make of this?
so yeah, how do we see it sort of shaping out? Because Mambo's got the extra year. They could always just waive him, but at least it seems to me that there is a path where Caden Primo, if he plays well enough, that he can at least have the backup job by the end of the year if he plays well enough.
He could do
And-
spot starts, I think.
Yeah.
I think they're just gonna go with what they have. And then if he's playing well, Laval, maybe every 10 games, give him 1 or 2, and then set him down.
Like I think there's nothing wrong with. Listen, like Sam Monbo was fine last year,
Mambo.
but again, like if you lose Sam Monbo on waivers, are you devastated?
No. Okay,
No.
but then it's like a thing of if he hits waivers,
Mhm.
you have to be 100% sure
Right.
Primo's ready.
So that's the
Like-
thing. If you're 100% sure about Caden Primo, then it's fine. Like losing Sam Monbo is not the end of the world.
Mhm.
But again, you have to be sure. But I feel like the Canadians can be in a position where they can have 3 goalies. I think they have so many rookies, or they have multiple guys who are waiver exempt, where it's like, okay, we're like literally like half the league does nowadays, where they send a guy down for a couple days, bring another guy up, and then voila, magic.
Those weird like cap moves.
Yeah.
The Habs paper moves are going to be fascinating because of the way their cap is. Like it's just every move is going to be like, how is this working because of Price's LTIR?
Right.
But like I got to think now, obviously, figuring out the start of the year and like figuring out what they're doing with Slavkovsky and that. I got to think re-signing Allen has got to be priority number 1. I know it's always the thing of trading him and what you can get for the value, but like they legit do not have anyone. They like maybe people like guys like Dobbs or a Dichow and that, but like you got to be careful with goalies too. They can always take longer than you think, right? I really sit there and wonder, like, is Kent Hughes' thing right now not to be like, I know everyone's saying coffee. I still can't see that getting done unless it's like halfway through the season. Because how the hell do you negotiate based on last year? I believe that all year. I know how you can do that. So I got to think that Jake Allen's got to be priority number 1 right now that they know Price is done. Or
Yeah, and like I mean, I can't. Yeah, he's priority number 1. I just can't see how big of a contract it's going to be. I don't think it's going to be crazy different than what he's making now or has made in the past. Because what was he making in St. Louis? $4 million about.
In his first year it was 4, and then they gave him the extension to like before he played the game for like 2. It was like around 2 million. So I can't expect it goes more than 4. And even that I think would be a bit much, but I think you could swallow $4 million because of how the goalie market is shaped out. It was like $4 million seemed to have been a lot.
Yeah, that gets you who signed for $4 million. What did Billy Huso sign?
There's Lincoln's, I think, was around there.
Billy Huso.
I think it was
what was Billy Huso? He's at 4.75. Close enough.
Yeah.
That gets you Alex Nedeljkovic in a bit. Who's at 3?
Who is at 3? Is Carter Hart at 3? Yeah, but he's young. He's weird. But yeah, I don't imagine it's a rich contract. And even if it is, it doesn't start till next year. And again, they have cap relief next year, finally. And it doesn't matter if he's then bad and he starts to fall off because the Canadiens will be bad.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
Also, he's earned a good contract. Like Jake Allen has done everything he's needed to and more since being Canadian. You know what I mean? He's been through. This is already. Think of it like this. This is his 3rd coach in Montreal.
Who? So Claude Julien, Dom Ducharme,
Marty,
and Martin.
It's his 2nd year. How?
No, it's his third. It's his third.
I forgot last season happened. This is going to be his first normal season as a Hab because last year was still kind of yucky. And it's his 3rd coach. I know goalies, it's a little different, but it's just like the stuff with Price getting hurt and the uncertainty and that the Stefan Waite getting fired.
Yeah.
And then he was just kind of like, yeah, whatever. Like, he's just been so chill as a Hab. Like, I love Jake Allen because he's also, it was so nice having a good backup goaltender for Price, even though it was 5 years too late. But Jake Allen deserves it, man. I'd be happy if they brought him back. But that's everything for today, I think. Unless something is broken, it's McDavid's an Oiler. Well, he's an Oiler. And McDavid got traded to LA. Woo. For $10 million. Mario McSorley is also involved in the thing. A few draft picks. He told Moose he wouldn't cry. I don't know. I didn't even mean to say LA. That just sort of leaked out. I just went with the Gretzky thing. Thank you for listening. Episode name is just going to be Captain.
Yeah.
And then just a picture of Suzuki. And then
would take a guess at, I already made the graphic. Take a guess at what picture I used.
Please tell me you didn't use the one with the RBC logo on it.
Oh, no. Oh, no. God, no. The one of him as a kid.
Oh, in the little jersey?
Yeah.
That's good. I like that. Yeah, thank you for listening though. Check out all the links in the description, stuff like YouTube, TikTok, and all that. Facebook, even though we don't really use it. It's a meme. And we're still 1 a week. We're finalizing dates with Mike. Do we know 100% if it's next week? Do we
maybe
we'll figure it out.
We'll see.
Figure it out. Okay. We'll see. Next week I may have my eyes dilated if we're doing a Monday again. No, a Tuesday if we do Tuesday. It's gonna be wild. I'm having an eye exam done.
Okay.
That could.
I mean, you don't have to see. Just we'll cue you in.
God, one of you will just have to do the sorting. It's we'll
do a
Seattle.
beep thing. So when it's your turn to talk.
I'm just sitting there trying to hit unmute again. It's I can't do it.
Oh man.
Oh God, yeah, that's unfortunate.
That's hilarious.
All right. Thank you for listening, and we'll see you next time. Eric Carlson is back.